a 390-foot-tall figure carved into the Atacama Desert points at nothing. And archaeologists still don't know why someone spent months etching it there. In the hyperarid plateau of northern Chile, between the towns of Nazca and Ica, lies one of the world's strangest artistic decisions. The Atacama Giant, or El Gigante de Atacama, as locals call it, stretches 390 feet from head to foot, carved directly into the rust-colored mountainside. That's taller than the Statue of Liberty. And it was made by people with stone tools and no machines. We don't know their names. We don't know exactly when they finished. And after 2 millennia of study, we still can't agree on why they did it. The first Europeans to document the giant arrived in the 16th century. Spanish conquistadors moving through the region noted it in passing, a curiosity, nothing more. They had other priorities: gold, conquest, empire. The giant remained largely forgotten for 400 years, buried under centuries of dust and indifference, visible only to the handful of herders and miners who crossed those plateaus. Then came 1901. A German archaeologist named Max Uhle was surveying the region and spotted it. He documented the figure methodically, measured it, sketched it, but he didn't understand it. Nobody did. Uhle faced a choice: declare it a mystery or try to fit it into existing frameworks. He chose the latter, a decision made under pressure, with incomplete information. He guessed it was Nazca work, part of the same culture that built the famous Nazca lines. He was probably wrong. Here's what Uhle didn't know yet: radiocarbon dating wouldn't become reliable for decades. Aerial photography, which might have revealed the giant's true scale and orientation, didn't exist for serious archaeological work until the 1920s. He was making a judgment call with the tools he had, and that judgment stuck. For nearly a century, the Atacama Giant remained shadowed by his initial assessment. The real breakthrough came in the 1960s and 70s. New studies suggested the giant was actually much older than Nazca, possibly created by the Tiwanaku culture, which dominated the Andes between roughly 300 and 1000 CE. That's a 400-year window of uncertainty. The Tiwanaku were sophisticated planners. They built ceremonial centers, engineered irrigation systems, moved massive stone blocks. They were capable of this work, but capable doesn't mean they did it. By the 1990s, a new hypothesis emerged. The giant was actually Nazca, but much earlier than anyone thought. Maybe 500 BCE, maybe earlier. One team of researchers argued for a date around 1500 BCE, which would make it contemporary with the earliest monumental architecture in the Americas. If true, that reframes everything. It means the impulse to carve massive human figures into stone existed in South America during an era when Egypt's pyramids were already 1,000 years old. But here's the cost of that uncertainty. Every dating method has limits. Radiocarbon only works on organic material: charcoal, bone, textile. The giant itself is stone. Researchers have to find artifacts in the soil nearby or old fire pits in the surrounding area. And the Atacama is so dry that organic material survives for thousands of years. A ceramic shard found in 1987 near the giant's base could have been dropped yesterday, or 3,000 years ago. Context is everything, and context erodes. Now the purpose. This is where the real mystery deepens. The giant's orientation is peculiar. Unlike the Nazca lines, which seem designed to be seen from the air, a feat impossible without aircraft, the Atacama Giant is positioned to be seen from below, from the valley floor. It faces outward toward the desert. Toward what exactly? The nearest settlement, a sacred peak, a direction that held spiritual meaning. We're guessing. Some scholars propose it was a territorial marker, a way of claiming space, of saying, "This land belongs to us." Others argue it was ceremonial, connected to solstice observations or water rituals. Water is life in the Atacama, the driest inhabited place on Earth. A people living on the edge of survival might carve a giant figure as an appeal to the gods, or as a monument to endurance. But these are theories built on thin evidence. The figure itself offers clues. It has a distinct face, large eyes, a prominent nose, what appears to be a headdress or crown. The proportions are humanoid but exaggerated. The head is oversized relative to the body. This is a choice. The artist decided to distort the human form. Was that for visual impact from a distance? Or did it represent something specific, a deity, a chief, a shaman? The carver knew exactly what they wanted to convey. We just can't read the language anymore. What's remarkable is the effort. A 390-foot figure carved into stone with hand tools. No blueprints, no machinery. The workers had to establish scale, maintain proportions across 390 feet and work on a slope that made the task exponentially harder. We're talking hundreds of man-hours, possibly thousands. A community made a collective decision to invest that labor. They valued this figure enough to pay the price in time, resources, and opportunity cost. And then nothing. No written explanation. No oral tradition survived intact. The Spanish conquest, disease, cultural disruption, and centuries of silence erased the context. By the time archaeologists arrived in the 20th century, the knowledge was gone. We have the artifact but not the user's manual. It's like finding a library with all the books burned. Recent satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar have revealed new details. The giant may have been part of a larger complex, additional figures, pathways, ceremonial spaces nearby. But may have been is the operative phrase. Confirmation requires excavation, and excavation risks destroying fragile contexts. Archaeologists face a genuine dilemma: study it and potentially damage it, or leave it intact and accept permanent uncertainty. The Atacama Giant remains unsolved because it exists in a gap. Too old for written records, too recent for deep geological study, too large to ignore, too mysterious to explain. It's a decision made by someone 2,000 years ago, under conditions we can barely reconstruct, for purposes we can only infer. And that person, or that community, made their choice knowing they'd never see the result from above. They carved it into stone anyway. What we know, it exists. What we don't know, why. And that gap, that honest uncertainty, is what makes it worth studying. Not because we'll necessarily solve it, but because the effort to understand it teaches us something about how ancient peoples thought, what they valued, and how they used art as a tool for meaning-making in an impossible landscape. The Atacama Giant doesn't answer questions. It asks them. If you want to dive deeper into unsolved mysteries where the evidence contradicts the official story, where real people made decisions with incomplete information, and we're still untangling the consequences, subscribe. There's a new case every week, and each one rewrites what we thought we knew. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into unsolved mysteries, where the evidence contradicts the official story.